All righty, with the first round of the NFL draft arriving on Thursday, I'm sure you've seen a mock draft here or there, but you've never seen one quite like this. DraftKings contributor Geoff Ulrich is here to reveal his 10-pick mock draft ahead of next week's event. I am so excited for this, Geoff.
You should be, buddy, because it's coming in pretty hot, man. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I got some pretty heavy predictions going on here, so we got to get to this.
Yeah, absolutely. Geoff, you have quarterbacks going 1, 2, and 3 in your mock draft. 1 and 2, pretty much expected here. But at 3, you have Mac Jones to the Niners. So please explain yourself. I know he's the favorite here, but those odds are getting a little shorter.
They are getting shorter here. Obviously with Justin Fields' pro day, he moved in front as the favorite briefly, the media kind of getting on it. But Mac Jones has gone right back in front. And look, you look at Kyle Shanahan and what he's done. He's always been happy to take a guy who's just a good distributor of the ball. Kirk Cousins, he could have gone out and gotten anyone he wanted at San Francisco, and he chose Jimmy Garoppolo. He was with Matt Ryan and had a lot of success. He's got a type, Emerson. He's got a type, and Mac Jones fits his type. Mac Jones is a guy who at Alabama led a group of insanely talented wide receivers to a monster season, had a 76% completion rating there. He was a great pocket distributor. There's arm issues. He doesn't have the arm talent the other guys does. I just don't think Kyle Shanahan cares. Like I said, he covets a certain type of player. Mac Jones has been his guy from the start. Adam Schefter came out and reported this was his guy. Yeah, you go to Justin Fields' pro day, absolutely you're going to get enamored with him. I think he's the better prospect, but I just don't think Kyle Shanahan cares. I think Mac Jones has always been his target here since they moved up there, and I think that's going to be the case on draft day. So, me and other analysts probably don't really agree with it, probably think Justin Fields is a better prospect. I think Mac Jones is going to the San Francisco 49ers, though, and I think that's going to create a big hubbub of to-do because once Justin Fields falls from 3, things will get a little crazy.
Yeah, I could definitely see that going down. I mean, those aren't the only quarterbacks, too, that you have in the top 10. You've also got 2 more going 6 and 9. Both are because of trades here as well. So what's your reasoning there?
Okay, so like I said, once Fields drops, and I'm pretty confident Mac Jones is going 3. Once Fields drops, people are getting on the phones here. Now, the price to get up to 4 and 5, Cincinnati and Atlanta, I think those teams are probably just going to take some players that are going to help them. I mean, you got Kyle Pitts, you got Sewell. I think that Cincinnati and Atlanta are going to be asking too much. You look at what San Francisco paid, 3 first-rounders and then another pick as well. I'm just not sure if other teams out there are going to be willing to pay that. But once we get down to 6, we have a very willing trade partner, Emerson, in the Miami Dolphins. Ian Rappaport already reported Dolphins taking calls, considering trading back. I think the Chicago Bears, who have been hot to trot for a QB1, potentially the first QB1 of their actual, franchise. If Justin Fields gets to 6, I got to feel like the Bears are going to be in on it. And that's where I think Justin Fields is going to go at 6 to the Chicago Bears. They're going to make a trade up to the Miami Dolphins. I do think that the Dolphins are going to trade back regardless of whether it's Fields or someone else. So that's where I have Fields going in my mock draft. And then you mentioned the other quarterback. Look, we still got Trey Lance hanging out around there. Once you get down to 9, you have the Denver Broncos, who admittedly probably aren't going to go quarterback. I mean, they haven't said anything bad against Drew Lock. They still seem committed to him. I think that you're going to see a trade there. I think Denver is another willing trade partner. And I think I have the New England Patriots to trade up here. I think it makes a lot of sense. What? If not in Cam Newton, they're all in. Look, we know from the Patriots offseason, one thing's for sure. They're not going through a slow rebuild. They have no interest in it. They can go out, trade up. This isn't going to cost them much. They're already at 15 to get up to 9. That's not going to cost them much. They can go and get Trey Lance. They can play him behind Cam Newton. If Trey Lance performs well in preseason, they can play him in front of Cam Newton. Either way, they have an MVP to sort of, co-host with Trey Lance. I really like this move from New England if Trey Lance is there at 9 and if Denver is a willing trade partner. And I think Denver is a willing trade partner. That's why I got Trey Lance going to the Patriots at 9.
Oh, Bill Belichick didn't even go to Trey Lance's pro day.
So?
What do you mean, so?
So what?
So what?
You got to go with the value. I mean, look, if he drops, I mean, he's got a ton of potential. I mean, look, the Patriots, I think, are going to be in on a quarterback. And it's all about, are you willing to pay up for all the way to go up to Justin Fields, or are you going to take the guy who falls back? I think if Trey Lance is available at 9, Patriots will be in on it.
And wow, you would
And look,
actually
if it's
take
not
Justin.
the Patriots, if it's not the Patriots, I could be wrong about the team, but I still think Trey Lance will go there. It could be Washington. It could be another team.
Okay.
I have the Patriots. I think it's an interesting move for them because, like I said, they ain't rebuilding slow. But I do think Trey Lance, regardless of if I'm wrong on the team, I think that's where he's going to go.
And you would really draft Justin Fields knowing you have Andy Dalton as your QB1 in Chicago.
I know it's a hot take. I know. I mean, I know. But yes, I would. I really would. I mean,
yeah, I would too.
I'm going out on a limb here, but
no quarterback to Atlanta at 4 here. You got him taking tight end Kyle Pitts out of Florida. I mean, how much does this have to do with maximizing the final years of Matt Ryan?
Yeah, and it's similar. Just like I said with Denver, they haven't been talking about getting rid of Drew Lock. If anything, the team has kind of been like supportive of the role. It really looks like they're going to stick with Drew Lock. It's the same kind of thing with Atlanta. We haven't really heard anything about Matt Ryan potentially being on the move or Atlanta wanting to sever that connection. I think they're very committed to going with Matt Ryan for next year and potentially just, beyond until he's ready to retire. So with that in mind, I mean, maybe Atlanta gets like an offer they can't refuse and trades back here, but I think that they're going to be pretty fine taking Kyle Pitts here. I mean, a really versatile receiver, obviously has a ton of top end, but a guy who played outline, inline in college, 6'6", 240, runs a sub 4.540. I mean, he's like a perfectly natural Julio Jones replacement. And, Julio obviously struggling a little bit with injuries now that he's kind of in the latter half of his career. Maybe Atlanta chooses to move on from Julio in the offseason. I don't know. But the other thing is, like, don't forget, Matt Ryan, Tony Gonzalez, those guys connected for 27 touchdowns over a 4-year period there back in the early 2010s. So, I think Atlanta here, I think they're going to be just fine taking Kyle Pitts, the most versatile, the highest end receiver, and I'm talking all receivers of this draft. I think they're just going to settle on that. I just don't think that anyone is going to be willing to pay the price to move up here of what they're going to be asking.
All right, so you have Jamar Chase, wide receiver out of LSU, going to Detroit at 7, who's now being quarterbacked by Jared Goff. So is that just too much talent, I guess, to pass up in a position of need right now for Detroit?
Yeah, that's pretty much it, right? I mean, I think Chase has been linked a little bit to the Bengals, and that's another potential landing spot. But I have the Bengals going O-line. I just feel like with Sewell there, a dominant O-lineman, the temptation just to protect Joe Burrow coming off a knee injury is just going to be too much. So I think they'll let Chase drop. And once he gets to 7 for Detroit, I mean, Detroit, obviously, they lost Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay. And I know they brought in Perriman and Tyrell Williams, but both of those guys are kind of just like hired free agents, hired guns, so to speak. They're probably not long-term solutions. You draft Jamar Chase, a guy at 19 was dominating bigger cornerbacks in the college ranks. This guy's super young. He opted out last year, but so what? I mean, we've seen his raw potential, and I think it's just an easy sell for the Detroit Lions too. They have this fan base. They've lost a lot of their superstars. You draft a skill position guy like Chase, who's going to be there for the long run, and you give Jared Goff a little bit of support. So yeah, I think the Lions, much like Atlanta, they're going to be happy to just sit there, take probably the top end guy at his position in this draft. I like the spot for Chase a lot.
Yeah, the consensus top wideout in this class for sure. You have only one defensive player going in the top 10, and that's Patrick Surtain, the corner out of Alabama. So going to the Cowboys, the best player on the board kind of thing, or an actual real need for Dallas? What do you think?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I mean, obviously defense not super deep in this draft. You could see no defensive players taken in the top 10. It wouldn't overly shock me if that happened, but Dallas is going to have a little bit of competition here. Denver has been linked to Patrick Surtain a little bit too, but again, I do have Denver trading back. I think Denver is going to be a willing trade partner with someone, potentially for Trey Lance or someone else as well. Maybe another wide receiver. Someone might want to move up and get Jalen Waddell or something in 9. So I think the Cowboys are probably just going to try and sit here and try their luck here. But Surtain is a need. He's also a need. He may be the best defensive player in this draft, or definitely one of the top 3, but he's a need. Last year, Trayvon Diggs for the Cowboys was the highest graded cornerback on their team. He was 58th in the league via Pro Football Focus. So this is just a team that isn't deep at cornerback. The last 2 seasons, they've lost Byron Jones and Chidobe Awuzie, their top 2 rated cornerbacks. So Surtain could give them kind of an Alabama duo as well. Diggs, another Alabama guy. This just makes too much sense. He's a big dude. He's got a lot of range. He performed well in college, and he's got some good, NFL sort of genetics as well. So, yeah, I think Surtain at the Cowboys, most people have him linked here. Again, it's just another one of those picks. It makes too much sense. If he's available at 10, I'm pretty sure the Cowboys are going to take him.
What are your thoughts on NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell finally being vaccinated, so he will be allowed to hug players who attend Thursday night's draft?
This is big news. This is great. This is kind of what we want. This is what we missed from the draft last year. I mean, obviously we had an exciting draft, but I'm excited. I want to see the draft and back to being normal. The guys coming out, getting hugs, getting their little moment on stage. That's what the draft is all about, man. These young guys making it big. So.